Hey there, everybody. It's your girl Barbie J here with the recap and review of The Equalizer, Season 4, Episode 4. All bets are off. And the synopsis for this episode reads, after Dante's old training partner is taken hostage while working undercover in an illegal casino, McCall hires JJ, a former gambling addict, to assist with the mission. Dee learns that some students have been bullying her on a social media page. So, yeah, you can't go wrong with The Equalizer. If you don't watch this show on a regular, you need to catch it every Sunday. Unfortunately, they keep with this 1 week on, 1 week off, because as you see now, next week there won't be an episode. They're skipping that week, and then there'll be an episode the next week. And then we didn't get one last week. So I hate when they do that because you build up viewership and people start following you, and the next thing you know, there's no show. So it could be, challenging to keep a TV show going when they keep doing that every season. Anywho, before we get started, if you're returning here and haven't subscribed as of yet, or if you are new here and would like to subscribe, please take a moment right now, hit that subscribe button, then hit the notification bell and select all, and it'll let you know every time I upload any new content to this channel. Then I ask that you smash that like button, which is a thumbs up button, write a comment, join the conversation, and share, because sharing is caring. Now, this episode starts off with a waitress in a casino. She goes into a bathroom and makes a phone call, giving someone information when a guy named Frankie bangs on the door and she lets him in. He starts looking around and finds a phone that she had hidden under the sink, and he checks the call log and she tries to run and he grabs her. So he already didn't trust her. We didn't know then what we know now, which is that she was an undercover detective. So Robin is in the kitchen and she tells Aunt Vi that Dante asked her out for drinks. And Vi is like, it's about time. And now as Robin is sharing her thoughts and feelings about all of this, and not wanting to rush into it because neither of them wants something casual, is what she told Aunt Vi. Delilah comes in and Robin changes the subject. We learn that Dee's dad has broken up with his wife, Kelly, or something her name is, and that Dee has signed up for another peer ear shift after school to help other teens in her school. And so, Aunt Vi and Robin are so proud of her and what she does. Then we have Robin. She gets a call from Dante and meets with him, and he tells her that his old partner, Detective Rosa Garcia, has gone missing and that they haven't heard from her in 3 days. She's working undercover. So he shares how she has saved his behind on more than one occasion, and now he needs to find her. He tells Robin that Rose was undercover as a waitress in a private casino run by Charles Benson, who is part of the Blanco syndicate or something like that. She was trying to find out if they were doing more than gambling, and the feds are not going to help them because one detective is not as important as this big case that they have that they were building against them. That sucks when things like that happen. Anyway, then we have Robin. She goes to see Mel and Harry about all of this and his new and improved MEL software on that machine is back up and running, and it gives him all the info on Charles Benson and his associates. And Robin decides to ask Dante to get one of the associates released from prison to help them. His name is JJ Cranston, and Dante thinks it's a bad idea once reading this guy's rap sheet. So Robin reminds him as to why he reached out to her, and she told him that she can be very persuasive after, Dante asks what if JJ doesn't want to help. So as she stated, she was able to persuade JJ to help them, but he is such a silly con man. He lies all the time and everything else. And he tells Robin he's turning over a new leaf as they're driving in the car, And he said no more gambling for him or conning, and just a quiet life in Vermont with his, lady, this prison pen pal named Bertha Mitchell. So Robin thinks that Bertha may not be a real person and that he got catfished. So after finishing his hamburger, JJ asked Robin to stop him by his grandma's house and his boy's place. And when they pulled up to his boy's place, they were met by 3 guys who worked for someone whom JJ owes some gambling debts to. So Robin got out of the car and told JJ to stay put inside. She tried to talk to the boys first, and then the fight began. When she was done whooping their behinds, she went back over to the car and JJ was gone. So now she had to call Dante, who was not happy, but Robin assured him that she would find him, and she did. You know how she found him? Because she had a tracker put in the hamburger that he ate. And JJ was not happy about that. Anyway, now we have Robin and JJ and Dante sitting in Mel and Harry's bar, planning and exchanging information. So JJ says he'll set up a meeting with Benson, and Robin said, as long as it's not your bookie. And JJ looks at Dante and says, is she always like that? And Dante says, insightful? Yes. And JJ made a face like, really, dude? Anyway, then we switch over to D experiencing some hate from other classmates whom she thought were arguing, so she intervened and they basically teased her and said they don't want her peer ear over there. And they said that she can't help poking her nose in other people's problems because she don't have problems of her own. And she's like, that's not true. They said, yes, it is. And that's why everybody in the school knows it. And she's like, they're not saying that about me. And then they showed her on social media a page where they are, I guess, teasing or bullying her for being a nice person of all things. And I guess it hurt her feelings, and she rushed out of the classroom past the teacher. And he's like, where are you going, Delilah? And she didn't respond and just cut class. Meanwhile, we have Robin and Dante in a car watching as JJ goes to see Charles Benson. Harry has put a camera in his shirt button, so everything he sees and hears, they will see and hear on their screens. So when JJ gets there, Charles Benson asks, I'm going to call him Benson from now on. He's asking about where his money is. And he's like, yo, I told you the cops took it when they grabbed me. And he's like, oh, man, who cares about that chump change? That was $200,000. He's calling chump change, y'all. And he's hugging him. He's glad to see him and everything. And then he tells him he's surprised that he's out, because he thought he had 6 more months. And he's like, yeah, I got out for good behavior. And he's like, okay, as long as you didn't do nothing stupid. He said, why would I make something like cutting a deal? He said, why would I cut a deal? I only had 6 months left. It don't make sense. I already did 8 years. And he's like, that's right, that's right. So he shows him all around, and then he gets a phone call. And when he gets a phone call, that guy Frankie comes up behind him and said, I don't know who you are, and I don't trust you. I'm going to be watching you, and if you do anything, I'm going to put a bullet in your head. He called JJ funny man, because when he touched him, JJ turned around and said, hey, look, I don't kiss on the first date, something like that. But anyway, so Benson came back and he took him into another room, opened the door, and it's like, oh my God, all this drugs and rifles and guns. And JJ said, looks like a candy shop. They had everything going in there, money, drugs, and weapons. So Dante realizes all of this was true, what they were saying, that he had more going on. Benson had more going on. Robin's asking Harry if he's getting all of this, and him and Mel are like, yeah. And they could see different people in the area who are bad guys, hombres, as they call them, from other places. So it's a whole big operation going on. And so while JJ is standing there, all of a sudden you see 2 men carrying a woman out. And JJ's like, who's that? And Frankie says, take a good look. This is how we deal with rats. And it's Rose Garcia. And poor Dante's in the car. Eyes are tearing up because she looks like she's dead. So Dante gets out of the car and he's blaming himself for everything. He is just like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her and all of this. He was going on and on. Robin's like, I'm so sorry, but we could go after these guys and get them. Let's go to DA Graff and go over these people's heads so we could take him down. And so that was their goal. That is what Dante wants to do. He wants to get even by taking this guy down now that they see all the contraband and everything that's in there. So now we have Delilah sitting on a park bench, and Aunt Vi walks up and she's like, what you doing here, Auntie? And she said, well, the school called and said you missed 2 classes and I was worried. So she said, but how'd you find me? She said, find a friend, works on nieces too. And I started laughing. So Delilah tells her what it is that caused her to skip out of class. She didn't want to talk to anybody. She was hurt because they had this social media page about her, and it called her Delilah, saying that she's nosy and doesn't have a life. So, of course, Aunt Vi said it sounds like they're jealous. And Delilah said, I know it's stupid and I shouldn't care, but I do. And they think that my life seems perfect, but I have problems too, even though I don't talk about them. And that's because you're not really supposed to talk about your problems. You know, you try to work them out yourself and try to be positive and stuff. I mean, I've been known to do it myself. But anyway, Delilah said, I just like to help people. Is that so bad? And Aunt Vi tells her, it's quite the opposite. You know, it is not bad. And I'm that same way, Delilah. I like to help others as well. But sadly, sometimes it's the ones you do the most for or help the most who end up going around talking about you for whatever reason. So Delilah is hoping to find some like-minded people somewhere else. That's why she's looking at the military, she was saying. That was one of the reasons. But then Aunt Vi said, I'm sure if you look a little harder, you can find some like-minded students in your school. And Delilah's like, I guess you're right. So then Aunt Vi said, can we go home now? Because it's cold out here. And Dee's like, I'm cold too. And they left. So now we have Mel driving JJ to his grandma's house. And she said, I'm going in with you. And he said, yeah, I'm good because I'm going to tell her that you're my girlfriend and all this stuff. And you'll have to do some convincing because she's a little, she's sharp and she'll know. And Mel was like, you know what? I'll wait outside. But if you try to run, I'm going to get you. You never see the day of light, blah, 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 blah. So he goes inside. Hey, Grandma. The lady plays his grandma look familiar. I swear it's this lady I used to sing with. But anyway, he asks his grandmother, is that bag still up there where I left it? And she said yes. So he goes upstairs and into this fireplace thing, and he has a hidden door or something, and he pulls the bag out, throws it out the window, climbs out the window and jumps. And when he turns around, Frankie's there with the bag in his hand. And Frankie's coming at him like, what is this, the money that you owe Benson? And JJ's like, you can have it. And he's backing up and he trips and falls. And Frankie pulls out a gun and said he's about to put a bullet in his head when Mel came up behind him and hit him with something and knocked him out on the ground. And JJ said, it's about time you got here. And Mel said, I should have let him shoot you. So then Mel gets a phone call and it's Harry. And he's giving her some good news that he thinks Rose is alive, that he saw her finger twitch as he played it in slow motion or something like that. So she said, that's good news. And they let, Robin and Dante know about it. Meanwhile, they were checking the pockets of that guy who they knocked out, Frankie, to see if he had anything in his pocket that can help them with finding out what big thing they were doing that night. They knew something was about to happen and they didn't know what it was going to be. So they found some kind of nerve agent, something thing in there in the guy's pocket, and they realized that what they're going to do that night is they're going to test some type of nerve gas or something on a person. So they figured that Rose is the person that they were going to test it on. So now we have Mel and JJ in a car and they're driving. I think she was driving him back to prison, but then they asked him to do another favor. He said, okay. And then he said, this is messed up because I'm late. I'm sure Bertha wanted me to give her that money to put on a house in Vermont. And that's when they let him know that there is no Bertha Mitchell who owns property in Vermont. And JJ said, no, there is. She even sent me pictures, and he was so upset and realizing that he got catfish. And he said, such an obvious con. I guess it's karma, right? And they ain't say nothing to him. They just looked at him, So now we got Robin going to this event at Benson's place as Rowena Smythe. And I guess she's supposed to be an associate of Miss Cynthia Penn, who's this rich woman who's attending as well. And then she's not on guest list, but JJ comes over and gets her in saying, look, she's already cleared, let her in or something like that. So he gets her in past security check-in and he tells Robin he hasn't found where they have Detective Garcia. And they have JJ unlock this door and gets Mel inside. And Harry is doing his tracking thing with the floor plan and he's telling Mel which way to go. And when she gets to the spot, Detective Garcia is gone. Meanwhile, we got Dante with his men in riot gear ready to move, and he's calling Harry for updates, and Harry has to tell him that they moved her, so Dante is disappointed. So Harry searches for labs in the area which may be better suited for them to test deadly airborne substances. So they find out there's 12 labs in the area, and Harry tells Robin she needs to delay the testing because it's going to take him a minute to search them. And Robin goes over to Benson and tries to talk him into delaying it by challenging him to one round of poker heads up or something. And if she wins, he'll sell the whole batch to Miss Penn, $10 million, no demonstration. And he's like, and what if I win? She said, then you could sell it to whomever you want and you could keep the $10 million. So as JJ is standing there watching all of this going down, and Harry knows, he gets the gambling fever, takes out the earbud that Harry was relying on to communicate with him. He sat down at one of the tables and started gambling. I said, this fool is crazy. He totally lost focus of what he was supposed to be doing and the reason he was there in the first place. Anyway, so Robin wins the poker hand and tells Benson to call off the demonstration. At this moment, Harry is telling Robin she got to leave. She got to get out of there. Miss Penn will be there any minute now. But it was too late. She was there, and security came over to Benson and said, Miss Penn says she doesn't know who this person is. And Robin was standing there looking like a fool. So anyway, Benson had his men take Robin away, and he said, find out who sent her and then kill her. In the meanwhile, Harry's machine, MEL, found Garcia. They found her being dragged into some place that was 15 blocks away. So Dante and his men rushed over there. Now at this point, JJ snaps out of it and realizes Benson is gone. He don't see Robin. He don't know what's going on. So they flash over to Robin. She's in the back whipping those three men's behinds and got them beat up and everything. and then they flip right back to Benson, and they're having a demonstration going, and you see the camera set up, and the Detective Garcia is in this glass lab or something, and they turning on the smoke, and she's like, hey, stop, no. And then Benson's phone rings while all these people are standing around who wants to buy this nerve gas or whatever, and then they're witnessing what's going on. And he gets a phone call, and he said, infiltrated by whom? And he's looking around. I guess he was looking for JJ. So he starts leaving, saying, get a car and meet me in the back. And when he's leaving, JJ came out front and tried to fight him, but he lost real quick because Benson pulled out a gun. But then Robin and Mel showed up with guns drawn, and she's like, call off the demonstration now or else. Meanwhile, Dante and his men get to the lab, and they're like, police, don't move. And two of them pulled guns. Dante shot two of them. The other one put his hands up. Then Dante shot about 3 or 4 shots into that glass, picked up a chair, threw it in there, slid in there over to Detective Garcia like in Risky Business and said, hang on, I got you. And he hit her with the EpiPen. Meanwhile, he had on his gas mask all this time, just to let y'all know that too. So now we have Robin, JJ, and Dante sitting at the bar, and they're letting him know that they couldn't have done it without him. And Dante told him if his partner makes it, it's because of him. You know, and he felt bad. They said, we can't thank you enough. He said, yeah, you can't. But then he said, I would love to have kept my 200,000. She said, you know, you got to give it back because you stole it. But then they said that he could keep the 200,000 this time. He earned it because he did help them. And he said he was ready to turn over a new leaf and stuff like that for Bertha. But Robin told him he had to do it for himself. He can't because it's not going to stick if you don't do it for yourself. Because she said she would hold the money for him, you know, so he'll do the right thing with it. But then he's leaving. She's like, let me take you back to prison. And then they come in, Harry and Mel, with this woman, and it's Bertha. And he's like, Bertha? She's like, JJ? So Robin said, I thought you couldn't find her. And they said, there is no Bertha Mitchell. This is Janine Carter. And he said, oh, you used a fake name. Where's the trust? And Mel said she was right into a convicted con man. And he's like, I get it. I like that in her too, you know, or something like that. So she was like, I'm glad you're okay. And he said, I'm more than okay. But then Robin goes back over to Dante, and he lets her know that Garcia is going to be okay. And Robin starts giving him a speech about, you know, no matter how this would have turned out, you're not your father. You got to remember that. She said, you are a man who keeps his word and his honor and some other stuff she was saying. She said, and I would trust you with my life. And I was like, oh, and he was like, thanks for that. And he held her hand, and he let her know how important this one was for him, and thanked her for always showing up for him when it counts. I said, oh my God, I was getting hot up in here, y'all. Anyway, they had to cancel the drinks. They were supposed to have drinks because it was so much that had gone on. Robin told him to take his time, clear his head. I'm not going anywhere, she said. I said, ooh. And he looked at her with them eyes and said, good. I said, oh my God. The way he said good, I was like, oh my God. And so it ends with Robin getting home. Via's like, what are you doing home so early? And she said, before you start lecturing me, Dante paused on the drinks tonight. We'll have to set up another date. They go to the kitchen, have a glass of wine. Delilah comes in. Robin lets her know she got a call from the school. Aunt Vi filled her in. She looks at the website, and Dee says, actually, some of the comments weren't that bad. And then she shared how her peer ear group thing went with the young lady. And she said how she helped her, which was having her sing this song called I Made You Look. And so it went off with them singing I Made You Look. And it was nice. Like I said, it's always a great episode. It was wonderful. I mean, y'all can't go wrong with watching The Equalizer. And for those of you who haven't subscribed to my channel as of yet, please do not forget, subscribe, like, comment, and share. And I will see you all in the next video. It's your girl, Barbie J, saying peace.